Screen?
Look
Camera.
at where you're looking right now.
That's the camera.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Look at the camera when you're talking. Yep. And you
Okay.
can, do your, when you're thinking, like looking around the room and all that stuff if you
I
want.
do all that. That's how I do my best thinking. Is looking everywhere but the camera. Because you know me and cameras. We're such good friends.
You are. You are good friends. Well, to that point, I just talked with Jeremy a couple weeks ago, and he was telling me, which you saw on the podcast, is how he thinks you're so great at video, and you're the only person that I know out of everyone that I talk to that doesn't think you're not good at video. So everyone tells me the same thing. Oh, Stephanie, she would never do video. Now she doesn't. She's great. So it's like you're the only person that thinks that you're not good at it.
Okay. But what they don't see is the behind the scenes where it takes me 37 takes to get, or 37 mistakes to get that 20 seconds. They don't see that. So I'm glad that people think I'm good at video, but I'm really not. I'm going to get better. Like I've challenged myself to do a lot more video. I want to provide great content for people that's helpful and educational and helps them know what to do to buy and sell homes. Information that's helpful. I want to be that helpful agent. I've got the knowledge up here. I just need to get it out here and into the camera.
So what helped you make that shift from I'm never going to be in front of a camera, I'm never going to post a video to that's a main centric point of your business now because a lot of the things you do is business oriented. So what caused that shift?
I think it's still just confidence in knowing what I'm doing. So I say this all the time, and you're probably getting tired of hearing about it, but coaching helped me with confidence, right? Because you made me do the hard things, the really uncomfortable things. So now I know I can do uncomfortable things. I know I can do the hard things. For me, video is hard, but because I know I could overcome the other things that brought me to video, I know I can overcome this too. So I know it up here. I just need to make the change and get the words out of my mouth. But
Hmm.
it's all in your head. I'm always in my own head. I got to get out of my head.
Everybody is. Everybody's in their own head. And to that point, I mean, from my perspective, because I've been working with agents now for like 6 years, coaching, I appreciate anyone that comes to me that wants to do it because, as you know, it's not easy. You have to be extremely vulnerable and be willing to sacrifice the preservation of your own ego to do it because you're going to be strapped down. You're going to pretty much burn the old version of your old self to build your new one up. And that is a very difficult process. And you're vulnerable to somebody else that you're paying to hold you accountable to do the things that you know you got to do. So there's no really option to not do it. So I know it took you a minute to get to that point to say, okay, I'm ready to do this. What was that evolution process and what made you just decide, yep, I'm willing to do it no matter what the cost?
So, do you remember when we sat in the conference room and you videoed me? We did the video
Mm-hmm.
listing presentation, and I was making angry faces and shooting eye daggers at you. Do you remember that?
Of course, I still
That
got it on my YouTube. Yeah.
I was so that was so bad. That was so bad. But that was a real eye opener for me. I don't think I come across that way in real life. I'm pretty friendly and I like people. Uh, but that was like a game changer for when I'm stressed. What do I look like? Because I was nervous. I was so nervous. I did not want to do that. And I'm sure it came across that way. And just the faces I made were just, they crack me up now. I was embarrassed at the time. Now I don't care. But uh, that showed me what I needed to do. Like if I'm looking that way and the camera was just off, I didn't need to look at a camera. I wasn't trying to video. You were just videoing it so I know what to work on, which was my face. Uh, but that kind of was a turning point for me that I needed to just do a little mind shift. And, you know, everybody consumes video now. We scroll on our phones. Everybody wants to see video. That's what gets, whether it's a faceless and it's just text on a screen on some story or reel. But I like looking at people and listening to things that are helpful and teach me how to do things, right? Or that share a story that resonates with me. So I want to be able to be the one to help my clients because I love, love, love my clients. I'm super protective of them, but I want to give them and whoever else wants the best information out there. So I needed to make this change. 2025 is the year of video where you're going to see a lot more video from me because that's how people are consuming information. They can do it at 2 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon or first thing when they get up, the last thing before they go to bed. They can consume it when it's good for them. And I want to be able to help them when it's best for them. So I want to make video and be able to share the knowledge that I've gained over the years, the good and the bad. I've learned a lot of lessons, but I want to be able now to help them when it's convenient for them.
And that kind of ties back into what you said a couple of minutes ago, which was always being in your head and mindset, right? And so I've been having a lot of conversations because for whatever reason, and this is my take on it, it may not be popular, but my opinion is the main reasons why people don't put themselves out there is because they put priority of self-preservation of ego over self-growth, right? Because whenever you have to grow, you have to pretty much sacrifice the preservation of your ego because you're going to be put in situations that are going to embarrass you, that you're uncomfortable, that you're not, haven't experienced before because that's a part of growth. And so for you, like you're talking about, you didn't want to do video, but you knew that if you wanted to be the best possible agent for your clients, if you wanted to relay the best possible information that you can, if you wanted to continue to grow your business, you had to sacrifice that part of your ego that was uncomfortable being in front of a camera.
That's a good ego is the perfect word for that. Because nobody, I mean, I don't like how I look. I don't like how I sound. My words sometimes get jumbled up. Uh, but guess what? When people meet me in real life, this is how I look and this is how I sound. And in real life, sometimes words get jumbled up. It's me, and people are going to decide whether or not they want to work with me, and it's okay either way. So if they're going to meet me and see me for who I really am anyway, you can't hide that. And I need to get over the ego is the right word because you want to present your best self, right? You want to look really good and you want people just to think you're all that. But then in reality, nobody's all that. We all have our flaws and we all have our little personality quirks and all of our little idiosyncrasies. So we just need to get over ourselves, really. I'm fine the way I look. I'm fine the way I sound. It's what it is and I can't change it. So embrace it and then go, be yourself. Go be yourself.
And I think it's interesting too, you point that out because everyone thinks that the consumer wants, a polished up version, everything's perfect, no mistakes of the content. But I always look at the stuff I post and look to see what gets the most engagement. And by far, the most stuff that I get that's engaging is the behind the scene stuff, right? Like the screw ups, the blooper reels, like the stuff that people can actually connect to that can humanize you to make you like, oh, he's actually a real person. So I struggle with that too sometimes because I always want to put out, that's your representation. You want to be professional, but at the same time, you don't want to be so stuffy that you're not relatable to somebody else. And you just got to, like you said, be yourself and have your own personality shine through. But it all stems from what we first talked about, which is the sacrifice of your own ego because nobody likes to be in front of a camera.
Nobody does. I mean, there might be a handful of people out there who really enjoy it. I am not one of them, but it's getting easier. I still flub up my words and I'll have a thought in my head, but sometimes it does not want to come out. And I do want to come across as a professional because I am a professional and I do know my job. But also, I'm human just like everybody else is human. And I agree. I think people do like to see those little bloopers. Man, I've
Yeah.
got a lot. I have so many stored on my phone. One day I'm going to make a blooper reel if I don't delete them all because some of them are super embarrassing, but it's part of the growth process. So it'll be fun to see at some point down the road when I'm actually good at what I do, uh, that I can see the the changes as I go, and then I can sit back and laugh like I do now with that listing presentation. Man, that was
That was a
awful.
lot of fun.
That
That
was
was a lot of fun.
awful.
Mhm. But the mindset shift right now, because I'm going to check you because you just said when I'm actually good at this. You are good at this. You already are good at it. And a lot of the mindset shift is the elimination of the negative feedback, right? Because if you just say, "Oh, I'm not good at this," or "I'm," does that incentivize you subconsciously to want to do that when you keep telling yourself you're not good at it, even though you are good at it?
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. And I probably don't give myself enough credit because I'm not where I want to be. I know I've improved though, so I will definitely give myself credit for that. And I'm getting better. And now I want to do this and I don't go run and hide from the camera. I used to run and hide from the camera. I don't do that anymore. Uh, and I like people. I hope people like me. And then they can just kind of see what the real Stephanie is like. And I really want to give helpful information. That's what I really want. And if some of it can be entertaining, even better.
And on that growth note, I remember a couple years ago we had a conversation that one day you wanted to do a client appreciation event for all the people
Yeah.
that you've worked with in the past, right?
Yeah.
And that has evolved to I know you do something, you do like a barbecue every summer for your past clients, but now I remember having this conversation with you. I think it was 2 years ago. You said you wanted to rent out a movie theater and invite your clients to come and screen them a movie and have it all covered and just be an event as an appreciation event to say thank you.
I'm doing that Saturday. I am doing it Saturday. Saturday, I am hosting my first client appreciation event at the movie theater. We're having a private screening of the new Captain America movie that just came out. And I am so excited. I am overly excited for that. I probably shouldn't be this excited, but I am. I have many clients who've moved out of state, and I'm really sad that they're not going to be here. But I've got many clients here, and I've got a decent turnout coming. And I am thrilled that I'm finally at the point where I can do this. It's been in the works for a long time. I've been really wanting to do it, like you said. And now I'm going to do it on Saturday at 10 a.m. at the movie theater. I'm super excited about it.
So 2 or 3 years ago, when we were having that conversation, did you think that was a realistic possibility for you to do that?
No,
Why not?
no, I just, I don't know. I don't think I felt like I'd earned it or was successful enough to hold something like that. And in reality, gosh, if you just had one or two clients, you could still hold a client appreciation event. It would just look different. So again, I was in my head and I've learned that I just need to not overthink things. And I could have done this 2 years ago, but now I'm doing it. This is the year of growth for Stephanie, and I'm doing all of the things that I've been wanting to do. And I love my clients and I want to show them that and how much I appreciate them. So I'm really glad that they get to come.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a huge accomplishment and should be recognized as such. So, bravo. But secondly, on the overthinking topic, because every human being experiences that, how did you catch yourself and how are you dealing and working on that? Because I know it's been a progress over the last couple of years. So when did you really make the effort to say, okay, I'm doing this too much, and how did you go about trying to fix it?
I really recognized it last year, like significantly. Everything takes me so much longer because I want everything to be perfect, right?
Hmm.
And we don't live in a perfect world, and I am definitely not a perfect person, and I'm okay with that now. But even if you see me post like a little reel or a story, so much time goes into that because I think that it needs to be this, that, or the other. And I still overthink things, which makes me take too long to get something done. Um, but that's a work in progress, and it's definitely going to be a work in progress. In fact, I bought myself a sweatshirt that says overthinker on it because that is totally me. Uh,
Hmm.
but I'm significantly improving in that. I'm getting better in some areas, not all areas, but I'm definitely getting better.
So if you had to guess, I know it's a work in progress, but even back when it was happening too much, how much time do you think was dedicated to spending on overthinking or negative thought compared to positive thought?
Gosh. I mean, I could overthink anything, and I was probably doing 70% overthinking, like 70% and only 30% was good. I just I worried about too many things. I worried. I wanted and I think it comes from being a people pleaser. I wanted to please all people. So I wanted to whatever I was presenting, whatever I was doing, I wanted it to please everyone. Well, guess
Hmm.
what? You can't please everyone.
Never.
So why try? Why try? I mean, you want to do your best. So whatever your best looks like is good enough and you don't need to be perfect. So why am I overthinking things?
No. And that's the pathway to misery, trying to please everybody because it's literally impossible and it's never going to happen. And at the same point, if 70% of thought is negative and only 30%, which is probably generous, 30% is positive, it's kind of hard to have a positive outlook on everything when almost three quarters of your brain is thinking negative, right?
Right. That's so true. That's so true.
Right? But
Yeah.
that's something that you need to highlight. So if you catch yourself overthinking something, just take some time and really think about, okay, I got all this stuff going on, which is great. But how often am I actually thinking about the positive stuff, right? Like, what about the good things? How often is that thought even coming into my head? Because more often than not, it's not. And if all we do is think about the problems, it enhances the problems because all you're doing is thinking about it. So it makes it even a bigger problem because you're focusing all your time and energy on it.
Well, then you manifest negative. If you are thinking
Yeah.
negative, that's what you're going to see and that's what you're going to find. That's what's
Hmm.
going to happen. So if you are positive and you're looking for the positive and you're trying to do positive, positive is going to find you. The good is going to find you. And I've learned that. I mean, generally, I'm like a happy person and I'm pretty positive in my outlook on life, but not necessarily in how I perceive, how I am in a professional setting. Well, guess what? I do okay. Like I am not terrible in a professional setting. I do okay. So why not embrace that and let the negative stuff go and just be me and do my best. It really is just about being your best. And you can't be perfect all the time and you're not going to be happy all the time, but you
Mm.
can sure try. And if you're putting good out in the world, good is going to come back to you.
Absolutely, right? And what you think is what you become. I mean, Socrates was right.
Yeah.
So it's true. And I think this is kind of coupled with the other thing I wanted to talk about with you, which is, mindset's one huge facet of the business. But the other facet that I don't think people really recognize enough is how important and how big of a return you will get if you invest in yourself. Because every agent's thinking about, okay, I need this CRM, I need this presentation, I need this marketing plan, I need this social media, I need these scripts. All of that is great. But literally, what level do you invest in yourself with? What level can you communicate at? What level do you know psychology of? How do you understand people? Because sales, all in itself, is literally what level can you communicate at? How well can you listen? Do you listen to respond or do you listen to listen? Right. And so that's all it is. Sales, negotiations, life. It's how well of a communicator are you? And if you're not enhancing your level of communication, you can't negotiate. You can't offer customer service. You can't set appointments. You can't deal with people. So like that's, and I know you've done that over the last couple of years. So kind of talk about how that came about and what that journey looked like.
So again, I just would stay in my head and I would overthink. So when I was talking to somebody, I'm trying to anticipate. I wasn't really
Mm-hmm.
listening. The trick to communication isn't talking, it's listening. So if you listen, truly listen to what people want or people need, then you can provide a solution to their problem or you can provide information or some alternatives for something that might work out for them, but that's not going to happen if you're not actually listening. You've got to listen and then digest, think about it, take a moment, and then figure out how to best help them. But if somebody's talking to you and you're just and you're thinking about the next thing you're going to say, that was one of the things when we talked about, when we were going over how to talk to clients, how to call people, and see if you can help them. We'd had have a list that we'd go through. And you can't be thinking about the next question you're going to ask. You need to get an answer and listen to what they're telling you now so that you can ask the next question, or maybe they need to expand on it so you have a better understanding. Communication isn't about talking, it's about listening. And once I realized that, and just asking questions and making sure people feel good and comfortable and confident with what they're doing, it's a whole, I mean, that was a game changer. That's a whole different, it was a whole different ball game at that point.
It is. That's one of the most important factors of business and life, right? Because if the person you're talking to feels like they're being listened to, then that's when the floodgates open, because there's even there's a doorway in your brain when that person feels like they're being listened to. And one of the best ways to get them to feel like they're being listened to, which is a very simple technique, is simply repeat back to them what it is they just said to you, right? So for example, if someone says, I really want to be in my home by summer. Okay, so you really want to be in your home by summer? That's very good. It sounds like it's very important to you, which is why we're going to set up a search and a timeline to make sure that we get that done. When they hear someone else repeating what it is they told them, their brain signifies to them, okay, this person's listening, they're engaged. It's safe to disclose more information. Like, it's a safety feeling that they get, right? And to your other point, are you listening to listen, or are you listening to respond? So an example of this is, how many times do you meet somebody, you shake their hand, they tell you their name, and the second they walk away, you don't even remember what their name is? It happens all
So
the time,
that happens all
right?
the time. All
All the
that,
time.
yeah.
Because we're listening to respond. We're thinking about how I'm going to respond to this person, to where I'm not even present enough in the conversation that I can't even remember your name. Like, that's basic, right? And another thing is the acknowledgement of nonverbal cues. So for example, if you're calling it for sale by owner, which I just did this a couple of days ago, by the way, because I wanted to see how relevant the for sale by owner script is, and it still works. It's great. But so an acknowledgement of a nonverbal cue can sound something like this. I called this lady. She picks up the phone. Oh my gosh, are you an agent? I immediately was like, wow, it sounds to me like you've had a lot of agents call you and you're pretty frustrated. How many agents are calling you? The second I said that, she opened up and started having conversations with me and telling me all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, so how many agents called you? Wow. What are they asking? What are they telling you? Well, they're trying to get me to list with them, blah, 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 blah. Really? Okay. And just out of curiosity, why are you trying to sell it yourself? And then the conversation can take place, right? But even if you go to a coffee shop, right? And the barista makes it looks like she's had a long day. Wow, it looks like you had a long day. How you doing? How you holding up? The change in people's behavior towards you and the communication you have when that other person feels like they're being seen and they're being heard, it completely changes the entire level of conversation.
Well, and they feel validated, like their feelings or their emotions, or just the fact that you're listening to them and their opinions on something, they feel validated. So that's kind of a big deal. And to
Huge.
be to speak to the name thing, my memory button got broken. My memory button is broken for names. It probably takes me 4 or 5 times. It's the big brain surgery thing that I had. I'm fine. But I really, really struggle with names. So I might have to use, when I'm talking to them, I might have to use their name 3, 4, or 5 times, or just
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, I struggle remembering names. Can I, it's Jennifer, right? Jennifer. I'm like, if I forget that, please forgive me. That's a big struggle, but people love to be called by name and they want to be acknowledged. And I know that because I'm like that too. That's probably one of the most important things you can do when you meet someone is remember their name and call them by name, because then
Mm-hmm.
they feel important, they feel valued. And that's kind of the beginning of a good relationship.
It is. It is. And that was one of the most things that Teddy Roosevelt was famous for, is he knew every single person's name in the White House. So he'd walk through the halls, he'd know the janitor's name, he'd know the chef's name, he'd know everybody. And that's part of the reason why he was so beloved, is because that other person, like you said, they feel like they're being seen, they're being heard, and they matter. And it's sad, but it's very rare how people get that feeling on a daily basis, that they can't even get someone else to listen to them. So if you can listen to them, they'll tell you everything. So we talked about the mindset of growth, obviously doing the difficult things, but the thing that kind of ties it all together is the discipline to continue to do it. So after you've done some difficult things that you didn't want to do, how do you remain disciplined to continue to do them?
Well, first of all, I know that I can do them. So that's helpful because you've done them once, I can do that again. Uh and you just have to make the decision to do it. You just have to make that a priority. So, I've got a lot of things going on in my world. Life gets busy and a little chaotic in my world. Uh but I keep it I have to keep certain things a priority. And the fact that you can do them because you've already done hard things. So I know I can do hard things. And you just make them a priority. You've got to cut out the time to make you've got to make time to do them. And then just do it. Make the decision and just go forward. Have an accountability partner like you are my accountability guy. You're going to hold my feet to the fire. And
Hmm.
oftentimes I need that because in my world, life, the other parts of life can kind of take over. And sometimes I need to regroup. But I know I can do hard things now, and I have done hard things. That makes it so much easier. It's a confidence thing. It's all in your head. You just have to get out of your own head and then make the choice, make the decision, and do it.
90% of business really in life, I think, is all in your head, if not more, right? And there was a quote that I read recently that's interesting that kind of lays to this point because I don't believe in motivation. I believe in discipline. When things get tough, you can't rely on motivation. And I think the quote read something like emotionally immature men rely on motivation to do something difficult one time.
Mm,
Emotionally mature men rely on discipline to do difficult things 1,000 times.
mm. I like that.
So motivation comes and goes. It's very easy to be productive when you're motivated. You got the rah, rah, yeah, let's go do it. But what about when it's, 6 a.m. February and it's 10 degrees outside and you got to get up and go to the gym or you got to go
Yeah.
get your call list ready or you got a prospect or whatever else is going on? Discipline is the only thing that's going to consistently carry you throughout. And that's why you have to make the choice, like you said. It all starts with the choice. You can't be
Right.
forced to do it. You have to make the choice yourself to say, yes, I'm going to do this. It's not going to be difficult, but the long term reward is going to be worth a little bit of short term suffering.
And all of us need to feel a little bit of discomfort in order to grow, right? Growth comes
Mhm.
from feeling a little bit uncomfortable. And discipline is not easy to get to. Motivation is easy because a lot of us are motivated by pain. We need something,
Mhm.
we want something, we need to pay our bills, we, need food to eat, whatever, there's motivation behind things. So, but the discipline to make sure that those things get done. And a lot of that just happens. You just need to be repetitive. You do it
Yeah.
once and then you do it again and then you do it again and then it becomes a habit. And then the discipline is so much easier because now it's a habit. But initially, especially if it's uncomfortable, it's hard to get there. But once you're there, it's so much easier. You
Mhm.
just have to get there. You just have to put in that little bit of time and effort to get there. And then it's so much easier.
Well, that's what most people aren't willing to do, right? Which is rely on the motivation because it's a short term solution. If you're looking for the biggest long term reward, it's discipline. And I read something else too. I don't remember the exact statistic, but I think it was between 70 to 80% of people who set New Year's resolutions by the third week in January, they've already given up.
I believe
Like
that. I believe
that's
that.
That's
Because
insane, which is why, 10%, just like in any industry, and same in real estate, 10% of the agents make 90% of the income because they're willing to do what the other 90% are not, and they're willing to do it over a consistent period of time. Like anyone can do something for a day, a
right.
week, a month, but then doing it month after month, year after year, decade after decade. It's like you have to have a certain level of commitment to do that because it's never going to be easy. It just gets more difficult as you continue to scale.
Well, and it's a roller coaster, right?
Yeah.
There's ups
Yeah.
and downs, and sometimes it's really hard when there's a down, just or you're climbing and climbing and you just want to be able to slide down. It's hard to find it's hard to want to do it. But man, if you can just stick through it, and then you can stick through it. So once you've had the hard thing and you've
Hmm.
overcome the hard thing, the next hard thing is easier to overcome.
Yep.
You just have to stick with it.
Yep. That's why if you pray for strength, you don't get granted strength, you get opportunities to become stronger. Right.
Yeah.
So the suffering needs to come in order for you to grow stronger. But to your point, for the downtimes, how do you navigate those downtimes?
I've got a good backup system. My husband is amazing. absolutely amazing. There was there was a day I'd hosted 3 open houses in one weekend, and it was last fall when the market was not moving. It was crickets. I went to the cider mill and got donuts and cider for everyone, and only one of those open houses was well attended. The other 2 weren't. And by the third one, I was just tired and I was grumpy and I was disappointed. And I told my husband, what was I thinking? I just want to work at the movie theater. I don't want to do real estate anymore. What was I thinking? And he came to the open house. He went to the gas station and got me a drink because he knows I like a drink. And he came and he sat with me, and then I just needed that. Like, I have backup. So, because sometimes things are hard. Life is hard. I mean, work is hard, but everybody's job is hard. It's not just real estate, but sometimes life is hard, and you need that person who's going to, stop at the gas station and get you whatever. And you just need someone to be able to listen and support you, especially when I'm busy, man. Spring and summer, I am not home. I am gone much of the time. And you need a good backup system. And I have that. So I'm really blessed with that. And then you need a desire to just do it, to know it's going to be hard and to do it anyway.
Great answer. Support system is huge, right?
Yeah.
So we've been going for over half hour. Any other closing thoughts?
I don't think so. But did I mention I was excited about my client appreciation event? Because I am.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
Saturday, right?
Yeah. It's Saturday, 10 a.m. I've got a healthy amount of people coming that can make it. Some people can't, life happens, stuff. But I'm really excited. And I'm excited I get to celebrate them because they are awesome and amazing. And I really, really enjoyed working with them. So yeah,
it's a big milestone for you too.
Yeah. And it's fun. And I'm glad that I can do it. Like, I'm grateful that I can do it. And the spring market is coming. And like, I am all kinds of excited about work right now.
As we should be. It's going to be a big year. It's going to be busy. It's going to be fun. And I know Tony, your husband, he's freaking awesome too. So tell him I love him. And I'll make sure we keep you on track. But I appreciate the time. This was awesome. It was good to have a little bit of time to kind of talk. I know we're usually just working together. So it's good to give some information back and share your journey of your process. I know some agents are going to get some value out of it. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, give us a like and a comment, and you'll be hearing from both of us again soon, I'm sure. So thanks, Steph.
Alrighty. Thanks, Alex.